You wake up ashamed, telling yourself this time will be different. But the cravings return, the cycle repeats, and the guilt gets heavier. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone and you're not broken. Addiction isn't about weakness, it's about programming. And in this video, I'll show you step by step how to reprogram your mind and finally break free. But let me ask you something very directly. Did you know that chronic addiction literally rewires your brain, shrinking the part that helps you resist and strengthening the part that keeps you trapped? That means every time you say, "This is the last time," you're using a version of your mind that's been hijacked by a learned loop. Now just imagine this. By the time you click away, millions of others will stay addicted not because they lack willpower, but because they never learned how to undo the code. So ask yourself, what's the cost of not watching the rest of this video? Because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn what most people will never know, how to rewire your brain and take back control. And if you stay till the end, something will click inside you. Something old might finally die so something real can be reborn. Addiction feels like betrayal from others, from the world, but especially from yourself. It starts as relief, a way to soften the noise, a way to silence that relentless voice inside your own head. Maybe it's the bottle, the pill, the phone screen, food, porn, gambling, social media, or something darker. But eventually, the thing you used to control becomes the thing that controls you. And every small surrender pulls you away from the person you once were, until one day you stop recognizing the person in the mirror. But here's what most people don't realize. Addiction isn't about substance. It's about emotion. It's about pain. It's about how the brain is programmed to survive what the soul can't process. That's why you can't just stop. That's why willpower, shame, motivation, pep talks, they don't work. What you need is reprogramming. Let's go beneath the surface, beyond the tips and hacks, into the biology of behavior. According to Dr. Gabor Mate, addiction is not a choice. It's a response to emotional pain. It's not about what's wrong with you. It's about what happened to you. The reward circuitry in your brain, your dopamine system, was never designed for modern temptation. Your brain gets flooded with satisfaction during addiction, but it's artificial. The natural reward system begins to atrophy, meaning every time the high ends, your baseline dips even lower. The more you chase it, the more it escapes. Here's what people don't understand. Addiction isn't the problem. It's your brain's attempt at a solution to a deeper emotional wound. Remnants of trauma, abandonment, or deep-rooted disconnection. The addicted brain isn't bad, it's adapted. And neuroscience confirms this. When you've repeated a behavior enough times, your brain physically reconfigures its neural pathways to make that behavior easier, faster, and more automatic. That's what habits are, myelin-coded pathways forged by repetition. Dopamine, mirror neurons, reinforcement learning. This is the machinery you're up against. So ask yourself honestly, have you ever felt like you're fighting your own self? That's not a flaw. That's adaptation. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate." Addiction is living inside that unconscious. But once you bring awareness to the mechanics of your own behavior, something incredible happens. You start to see the pattern, then slowly you become the pattern breaker. Let's talk about recovery, not as abstinence, but as transformation. Real recovery starts when you no longer escape the inner world, but sit with it. Feel it, understand it. Because until you meet the part of you that's in pain, you will always fall for temporary relief. So here's the formula. Awareness, interruption, reprogramming. Step 1 is radical honesty. You must name what you run from. Was it the loneliness from your childhood? The betrayal never healed? The belief you're not enough unless you're performing? Addiction thrives in denial, but recovery lives in truth. Be brutally sincere with yourself. Pick up a journal. Write down what you turn to, when, and what you're trying not to feel. It might hurt, but it will liberate you. Step 2 is interrupting the loop. Our brains run on cues, routines, and rewards. Identify your triggers: environmental, emotional, social. Next time the urge rises, pause. 90 seconds. That's the peak lifespan of a craving. Try naming the feeling instead of feeding it. Pause, breathe, and try urge surfing. Ride it without obeying it. It creates space between stimulus and response. That space, that's where power begins. Step 3. Reprogramming the brain. Now, this isn't magic, it's neuroplasticity. The brain is a living organ designed to change. But change requires repetition, not inspiration. Build a new identity by repeating new rituals. Replace your old reward loops with healthier ones. Exercise, meditation, community, service, art. But here's the catch. In the beginning, it won't feel good. Because your dopaminergic system is used to instant spikes. Bringing it back into balance takes time. Your brain must relearn how to find joy in presence instead of intensity. And here's something people misunderstand. Relapse isn't failure. It's feedback. It's your shadow saying, I'm still here. Instead of shame, use it as data. Ask, what part of me needed soothing? What belief was triggered? Recovery is learning to answer those questions, and gently, consistently, choose a different response. But let's go deeper. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right? Reading the books, going to therapy, journaling, but there's still something inside you that just won't let go? What if I told you it's not the addiction that scares you most, it's the emptiness underneath it? Addiction fills the void. Recovery exposes it. And most people bolt at that point. But if you stay, if you breathe into the emptiness and listen closely, it starts to speak. And that voice, that's your real self, the one that got buried underneath pain, performance, and protection. Viktor Frankl wrote, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. You are that challenge. You are that possibility. You this far means something inside you is ready. So let me ask you, why does nobody talk about this? Why are we still framing addiction as a failure of character instead of a call for compassion? Why do we stigmatize the struggle when it's precisely what makes us human? Why do we keep trying to punish our way out of trauma instead of healing it? Here's what's at stake if you don't watch this through. You may keep repeating the loop. You may confuse familiarity for destiny. You may keep mistaking numbness for peace. But if you stay, if you really absorb this, the loop starts to break. You begin to see that addiction isn't the enemy, it's the signal. Like Alan Watts said, the ego is nothing other than the focus of conscious attention. Where you place your awareness, your attention, that's where transformation begins. Your healing isn't in fighting the addiction, it's in outgrowing it. So what would life feel like if you were finally free? Imagine not waking up consumed by guilt, not organizing your life around a secret. Imagine joy not born from escape, but from being here now, unedited. That version of you exists, but it won't emerge from comfort. It will rise through commitment. Create a new identity, not as an addict trying to quit, but as a person becoming whole. Find the community that sees you without judgment. Engage with tools that rebuild your sense of self. Commit to routines that don't numb you, but nourish you. Meditate, walk, breathe, write. Show up for yourself even when your mind screams otherwise. Because every action reconfigures your neural blueprint. Every micro-commitment builds a new pathway of meaning. As James Clear teaches, every action casts a vote for the kind of person you wish to become. And eventually those votes accumulate until one day the craving returns, and you don't. Not because you fought it, but because it no longer belongs in the life you've built. This is how you reprogram your mind. One conscious interruption at a time, one compassionate action after another. One moment where you choose presence over patterns, until the old version of you loses its grip and something truer takes its place. The darkest moments of your life can become the birthplace of the most sincere peace you'll ever know. That's the paradox of recovery. It's not the absence of pain, but the transformation of it. And now the choice is yours. Close this video and return to the cycle, or stay on this path and rebuild your mind, step by deliberate step. You're not just recovering from addiction, you're recovering yourself. If you've made it this far, I want to know who truly understood the message. Leave the phrase "I break the cycle" in the comments, and let's see how many of you really grasp what it means to become whole, not by force, but through awareness. If this video made you question something, if it made you see things from a different angle, like and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, to break free is not to erase your past, but to finally see it clearly, carry it wisely, and no longer be ruled by it.